Hello everyone, and today we are going to cover a very important topic of computer science, specifically for programming point of view, and also in journal that this topic is basically about algorithms. What algorithm is? An algorithm is basically a procedure for solving a problem. So whenever we have a problem, the procedure that we follow to solve it is known as an algorithm, and basically it's based on conducting a sequence of specific actions. So not only a procedure but a specific sequence we have to follow from start to end. A computer program basically it can be viewed as an elaborated algorithm. So before writing a computer program, we should make an algorithm. It's a very good practice, especially if you are a beginner. You should first write an algorithm, and it will help you to develop a program properly with less or no errors. And in computer science, basically algorithm is a small procedure that solves a given problem. The problem can be anything, adding two numbers, multiplying them, and any complex problem. So first we are going to have a look at this example, the example number 1, which is, so basically in this example, the problem is that we have to write an algorithm to determine if a student's final grade, determine their final grade and indicate whether they passed or failed. So the final grade is basically calculated as average of 4 marks, and the detailed algorithm is given as follows. Basically we are going to first input the marks. Definitely we have to find the grades, so for the average of marks. So definitely if we have marks, then we are going to do calculations. So m1, m2, m3, m4, these 4 are variables, so you can use any letter, anything. You can write sum 1, sum 2, marks 1, marks 2, marks, whatever you want. So we have input the values in these 4 variables. Then another variable in step 2 is grade. Here instead of this arrow, you can also write an equal sign. Then add these 4 numbers in that we input in step 1, divided by 4. So definitely if we have 5 numbers, we are going to divide it by 5 and so on. So the grade, the answer goes inside the grade. So if grade is less than 50, then print fail. Print fail, what is the meaning of print fail? That you will display that the student has failed. Otherwise, yeah, that is else, you will print the student has passed, and end. So this is a journal syntax. This can vary. It's not necessary that you follow same syntax, but you have to write these steps because it's a step-by-step procedure. Then the first step is, for example, input. The next can be some kind of a processing, a formula or anything. Then we can have some conditions, that is an if condition. If it is true, print this. If it is false, do this, and so on. Next example, what we are going to do, let's see. Now basically in example 2, we are going to find the product of 2 numbers. So the question is find the product of 2 numbers, and here basically we are going to in step 1, what we are going to do, in step 1 we are going to input first number in A, like in any variable. This can be A, B, X, number 1, number 2, whatever. And in step 2, input second number. You can do this, that you make it just one step. In one step you can write input first number is in A and input second number in B, or you can write it as 2 steps. It's totally up to you. Then in third step you will do the processing. Find product, answer is equal to A multiplied by B. So the answer is another variable. You can write product, you can write result, you can write print, whatever you want. So the answer, the calculation result is inside answer, and finally we will print the variable answer. So if we want to find the sum of 2 numbers, we will write add here, plus here, minus, divide, or anything. So it's basically a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem and so on. So let's now move on towards the flowcharts. And flowcharts is basically a graphical representation of an algorithm. It's a type of diagram that basically represents the algorithm and the workflow or the procedure. So flowcharts basically are the same as algorithm, but the difference is that we are representing it in the form of a diagram, a graphical representation. So flowcharts are basically used to display our algorithm, and we have special symbols in that are used to show the input, the output, processing, the if conditions, and so on. And they are also used in various fields for understanding the problem basically. So there are different types of flowcharts, and each chart has its own notation. So you can vary these notations and so on. So to start with, always we have to write this oval symbol. Basically, it tells about the start and end. For beginning, we write this oval, and for ending also we use this oval sign. Then comes the basically parallelogram. So whenever you want to input or you want to output, you always use this symbol for displaying or showing the output. Then we have this square. This square is basically used for, or it denotes the processing. For example, addition, subtraction, division, finding average, and doing any kind of processing. Then comes this diamond shape. Basically, this diamond shape is for decision making or taking decisions. For example, if grade is greater than 50, if gender is male, if gender is female, and so on. Here I have given here, this is hybrid. This is usually for output, but mostly 80% of the time the same parallelogram is used for output, and these are flow lines that are used to connect various symbols of the flowchart. So again, this is the description, the start and end. This is the symbol. This arrow works as a for connectivity, for flow of control. This rectangle is for processing. For example, add, replace, move, save changes, open the file, and so on. Then we have input and output again. I have described. Then we have decision making. This is for decision making. This diamond shape basically, right? This is for decision making. And like looping also. A loop means that you want to do some actions again and again. So here we are going to do the algorithm. Same algorithm we did the first example, to input marks of 4 subjects, find the average, and decide whether the student passed or failed. So here basically we are going to use this symbol, oval one, for to denote the start of our flowchart. Then arrow. Then we have to input. We will make this parallelogram, and we will write input M1, M2, M3, and 4. Then because this finding a grade is processing, so we will write it inside a rectangle. Then we have if condition, whether it's true or false, yes or no, right or wrong. So is grade less than 50? Yes. Print fail. So here we can use this symbol or this symbol. It's totally up to you. If the grade is less than 50, no, it means the student passed. Printed here, and at the end both controls will go in the form of arrows to stop. Stop means the end of algorithm. So here we are going to move on to our next example. It's just a simple example in which we are going to check the schedule of kid, and by checking time. So first we are going to use the symbol for starting. Write start inside, then an arrow. Then as input we have time. So we can write check time, see time, what time is it. So because of the fact that we are taking time as input, so we have write it in the parallelogram. You can also write inside a processing symbol as well. Then we will check if it is before 4 p.m. Yes, he is in school. The kid is in the school, and right at the end it will come here, and it will go to the end symbol, and the processing will finish. But if it is before 4 p.m., no, it's not before 4 p.m., then he is in the playground. It means that if it's not before p.m., it's after 4 p.m., so the kid must be in the playground. Then after that we'll check time again. If it is before 7 p.m., no, he is still in the playground or play area, right? So it means that the kid plays from 4 to 7. So if it is not, if it is before 4 p.m., no, then it means that the kid is inside the playground. And if it is before 7 p.m., it means yes, the kid is at the home, and finally end. So it is basically telling you that in journal we can make a flowchart for the routine of a kid by checking out time. So it's not that always we input symbols and so on. Time can also act as an input and all. Then we have another example, draw for flowchart to find the sum of first 50 natural numbers. So again in this example we are going to use the start symbol. With the help of this symbol we are going to start. Then we will find initialize the sum as 0, another variable as 0, because we want to count, we want to go to the next step. So n is equal to n plus 1, sum is equal to sum plus n. So initially you have to write sum is equal to 0, because usually if you don't don't write it, it's fine right here. But if you do programming, you write a program, if you don't give sum is equal to 0, it will not give proper output. So sum is the variable in which we want to save the sum. Sum 0 plus n, it means the first number. Why n is 0? That we initialize it to 0. You can initialize it to 1 and then increment it afterwards. So 1 means that add 0 to 1 the sum of first number. Then again n is 1 means now it will be 2 the previous answer plus the next. For example, if you want to add 5 numbers, you will add 1 plus 2. Right? After that, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. You will add 3 plus 3, the next number. 3 plus 3 6. Then you will add 6 plus 4. That is, you will add the sum of previous number with the next number. That's how you will get the sum, right? So that's how you are going to do, and it's really a simple procedure. Now this condition, if n equal to 50, it means the problem is that you find the sum of first 50 numbers. So if the n is equal to 50, yes, print the sum. If n is not 50, again go increment, that is, if it is 4, increment 1 means add 1, that is the next number, then add them and then check. If n is equal to 50, why we are checking for 50? Because the question is that you have to find the sum of first 50 natural numbers. So if the condition is true, you will come out of all this procedure, print the sum and end. If n is not equal to 50, then you will go again, find the sum and so on. So in our next example, we are going to draw a flow chart to find the largest number of 3 numbers. So we are simply going to start, read 3 numbers. Definitely we have to find the largest of 3 numbers. So we have to tell which numbers we want to find the largest one. So first condition is that if a is greater than b. So if a is greater than b, then we will check whether a is greater than c. If both conditions are true, it means a is the greatest. So if a is greater than b, yes. If a is greater than c, yes. Print a. It means that a is the greatest. If a is greater than b, yes. But if a is not greater than c, it means c is the greater. Why we are saying so? If a is greater than b, it means b is not greater. Go to next step. Then we'll find if a is greater than c. It means if it is true, fine. If it is not true, it means a is greater than b, right? So b cannot be greater than c. Then we come here, if a is greater than c, it means no. So it's obvious that we have to print c. Why? Because c is the greatest. Why? Again, if we have in a we have 40, in b we have 20, in c we have 100. A 40 greater than b 20. True. Come here. So b is 20. It's definitely smaller than a. Come here. A is greater than c. A is 40, c is 100. Right? So a is not greater than c, print c. Now why we haven't checked for b? Because here we have checked b already. If b is smaller than a and a is smaller than c, so it's obvious that b is also smaller than c, so we don't have to check for b again and again. Next condition. If a is greater than b, no. In both the conditions, it has printed right here. So we will see why it is happening. If a is greater than b, no. A is not greater than b. Then let's come here. If a is not greater than b, then we will check if b is greater than c. Yes, b is greater than c. So print b. Otherwise, it's gonna print c from here, not from here. So there is some problem with it. We will check from here. If it is a no, then come here, right? Just make a correction, and at the end all will go to the end. So you can change this flowchart according to your conditions as well, according to the way you want. But you have to fulfill each and every condition. No condition must be left. So these are some basically practice questions. Input 2 numbers from user, add these numbers and display their sum. So it's good to do practice, write an algorithm and flowchart. Then you can find the greatest number from given 2 numbers. We gave initially in our example 3 numbers. It's very easy to compare 2 numbers to find the greatest. Algorithm, flowchart, both you have to make. Show your daily routine with the help of a flowchart and algorithm. So in the same way, you are going to be doing the other examples as well. So I hope that this a lesson of flowcharts and algorithm would be helpful for you, and you will take benefit from it, and I'll see you next time with another topic. Until then, bye.